And we are just 2 days out from Election Day now. That's right, we're all excited. On the podcast this week, a spirited debate between the two of you on our statewide ballot question. So today we're talking about the implications if they pass. Of course, we know it's a big if. Question one is the voter ID initiative, which also includes a series of other elections reforms. And question two is the red flag extreme risk protection law, which would allow relatives of someone who is deemed to be a danger to themselves or others to directly petition the courts to have their weapons taken away. Pat, this is an off year for the election cycle. What's your sense of voter interest and enthusiasm in these issues?
I think there's a lot of enthusiasm because, first of all, these are a couple of emotional issues. The red flag law in particular, we just passed the 2-year anniversary of the massacre in Lewiston, and people are thinking, gee, maybe the red flag law could have prevented that. We don't know for sure, but that's the idea behind it. And with the voter ID, once voters know all of the implications that include absentee voting. Well, we've seen a lot of absentee voting already. The level is very strong so far. And that means probably most of those people are going to be saying no to number one because we want to keep absentee voting.
And UNH released a poll on both of these questions recently, and the poll makes both essentially look like a toss-up. 49% no on voter ID, 40% no on red flag. What do you make of the results here from UNH and their methodology for how they asked?
I think generally the UNH polls are a gold standard. I do think, however, in this case, my understanding is they did not ask the full question. They gave the title of the bill rather than the summary that appears on the ballot for voters. And so I think the devil's in the details on these questions, particularly on question one. If you'd say it's only enact voter ID, people might say, well, okay. But when they see all the changes to absentee voting, they might say, wait a minute, too complicated, and I don't want these changes, let's say no.
And Phil, I want to go to you here. Voter ID, correct me if I'm wrong, this is something that you support.
Yes,
so if voters accept the changes, what does the rollout look like?
I think people will find that there's very little that has changed. There's been absentee voting before. It will continue if this passes. Drop box were used during COVID. Those will go to one location as opposed to several locations. If it passes, I think people will say, yeah, the elections are without question and not much has changed.
Ethan, if it were to pass, do you expect a challenge?
I do expect that there'll be challenges to it for sure, but I think that if it passes, the bigger issue is that what people are going to realize is it's going to become much more cumbersome to vote. It's going to be much harder if you are elderly or if you're in the military. It reduces the number of days for absentee ballots. It means you have to send in a photo ID. That means you have to have a printer or something at home to be able to print that out to send it in, which a lot of people don't have. You know, Maine has record-setting turnout in most elections. We are always in the top 5, if not the top in the country. I think that number will drop lower the way you see in other states that have similar laws.
You brought up an interesting point with the printer. I know I don't have one at home. I use the one here.
Right. I mean, that's the question. You now have to call your city clerk, get an application, mail that application in order to get your ballot, and with that application has to be a copy of your ID. Like that to me, or some number that you come up with that most people have no idea where it is.
Let's move on to question 2 here. This is the red flag law. If voters do approve this, what's the impact in the rollout?
I think the impact on the rollout on this one is going to be, this is just going to give an opportunity for families to be able to go directly to court. Let's remember that before Robert Card massacred 18 people and shot 13 others, the family tried to get the guns out of that house 6 times. 6 times they went to authorities and said, please take this person's guns, and authorities failed. Had they been able to simply go to a court of law, have the court rule that those guns must be removed, the police would have had full authority to knock on that door and remove those guns, and perhaps 31 people would not have been shot.
Phil, the governor and law enforcement have expressed concerns over the red flag proposal. Of course, the yellow flag law is already on the books. If passed, do you anticipate a bumpy rollout or legal challenges?
I do, and primarily because this referendum is about a gun law, and the problem we have is a mental health law that is not being enforced as vigorously as it should be, as is possible under the existing yellow flag law.
Quick lightning round here. Let's go to prediction time here. So for question 1, yay or nay, does it pass or not?
Question 1 will go down.
Question 1 will go down.
It'll pass.
It'll pass.
Oh, it'll pass.
It's going to go down by double digits.
And question 2.
Question 2 will pass, and it will pass, I think, by double digits strong.
Question 2 will fail.
Bowdoin College graduate Zohran Mamdani is also expected by many to become New York City's next mayor. Do you expect that there's going to be a wide victory here? And if he does win, by how much? How many points?
Even though I'm a University of Maine graduate, it's okay. Bowdoin gets a little props on this. He will win, and he'll win by double digits, more than 10 points.
Do you see an upset here
No,
by
I
former
don't.
Governor Cuomo or Curtis
No,
Sliwa?
I think Mandami is going to be the next mayor of New York, but I don't think it's going to be a double digit. I think it's going to be 55-45 between the other two candidates.
And I think the nation's Republicans will enjoy that. I
Yes.
think they're looking forward to
Yeah.
running against that,
Yeah.
as all Democrats are socialists. You know that.
Right.
Ethan, Portland voters will decide on Tuesday whether to raise the minimum wage to $19 an hour over a 3-year period. Does that pass?
I do think it'll pass. It won't be as wide of a margin as it was perhaps back in 2020 when we went to 15 and that was 60-40. I think it'll be more single digits, but I think it'll pass.
And Phil, former state representative Dale Crass, who ran for Congress, is now running for Lisbon Town Council with 3 other candidates vowing to use their seats if elected to dismantle the body. A lot of frustration in the Lisbon community over property taxes, those seeing some big increases. Does he get his way? Does he end up being successful?
Yeah, I think he does. All it takes is a 20% property tax increase in any small community in Maine, and people are going to revolt. And I think that's what you're going to see on Election Day.
All right, guys, thank you so much
You're
for the
welcome.
input. Remember, new episodes of In the Arena drop every Thursday. You can watch at our website, WMTW.com, YouTube, or take it along with you and listen wherever you get your podcasts.